welcome to Bodmin's School Report. I'm Jake.
And I'm Matt.
In today's news, Bodmin Jail becomes a luxury hotel and attraction. We talk gender identity and mental health, and the beast of Bodmin is uncovered.
But first, with the worst winters Cornwall's had in many years, road traffic accidents have been on the increase. Here with some tips for driving safely are Tamsin and Lauren.
Did you know there are over 1,804 reported car collisions over a 1 year period in Cornwall alone? A lot of these incidents have been due to a dangerous driving or dangerous driving conditions. A lot of incidents involve younger drivers who are new to the roads. A study shows that 22% of fatalities on Britain's roads in 2011 involved a driver aged 17 to 24 years old. A recent devastating car accident was the crash involving a local driver and a passenger. Danny Thomas was the driver. On the 18th of December 2017, on Falmouth Road, the car came off the road, collided with a tree and flipped on its roof. Unfortunately, the driver Danny Thomas was killed during this accident and the passenger was left with life-threatening injuries. Many policemen and women work extremely hard to prevent these incidents and to help save the passengers as quickly as possible. They do speed checks to ensure that everyone is driving at a safe speed. This helps lower the number of accidents. Policemen and women also offer advice on how to stay safe on the roads, such as making sure you wear your seatbelt and you are doing the correct speed limit. We now have an interview with Peter Thomas talking about how to stay safe on Cornwall's roads.
How can drivers be more safe on the road?
Well, we work on the basic principle of a thing called the Fatal Five, which is when we're looking at fatals, obviously we're looking at the most serious collisions. So the things we look at are drink and drug driving, which unfortunately is still quite prevalent and still goes on. We look at speeding, is always an impact factor on collisions. Wearing of seatbelts, so safety measures in the vehicle and obviously the safety of the cars themselves, so the mechanical defects and things like that. In-car distractions, so when I say in-car distractions I mean generally these days mobile phones is the big problem that we get of. And the other one we're looking at is driving without due care and attention, so people just not paying attention or actually when they're tired and things like that can cause problems. So we'd always try and educate people on those 5 points.
How often do you get called out to car incidents?
That can vary massively. It'd be very difficult to give you a straightforward answer. It depends on the severity of the collisions. For Cornwall alone, the numbers would change quite dramatically, depending on the severity. But severe collisions, as in the ones that we're looking at, unfortunately the fatal ones, last year in Devon and Cornwall there were over 70 fatalities. And a lot more seriously injured people or life-changing. But on a daily basis, it'd be very difficult to give you a straightforward answer on that one.
What is the process you go through when dealing with a car accident?
If it's a very minor collision, there's a thing called 170 of the Road Traffic Act, when we would make sure that people have exchanged details, and if they have done that, we wouldn't even go to it. There'd be no point in the police going to it. If it's a very severe one, then the process will, the first thing we do the same as everybody else is to try and preserve life. So if we can assist that way we can. But then we're looking at as police officers is preserving the scene, gathering witness details, and going through a whole load of procedures, which includes calling scenes of crimes officers, calling forensic collision investigators, vehicle examiners, examining the scene, which can take up to, we normally try and get any scene cleared by within 6 hours. There's a lot to do. Effectively, we treat it as a crime scene until we know more, and eventually it'll come to the vehicle themselves, and obviously much earlier than that, anybody that's unfortunately deceased being removed from the scene. But all of that is treated as an exhibit as well, so there's continuity issues to follow, getting the vehicles to a garage, getting the people involved to hospital, all have to be done through continuity.
And how can we make the roads safer for drivers in Cornwall?
I would say by raising awareness of the dangers that there are. Obviously if you're a safe driver then you're not going to have too many problems, but the dangers are what I said earlier on, certainly the fatal five, the mobile phone or in-car distractions, speeding, seat belts, drink drive, and driving without due care and attention. We're constantly working with our partners, the Fire Service, Highways England, the NHS, everybody else, educational authorities, to try and educate people at a younger age, or everybody, to make them safer on a daily basis.
3 weeks we experienced the blizzard conditions while Arctic temperatures soared. Over to Ella for the report.
Weeks ago, Britain was gripped in the jaws of the beast from the east. For some, this was an opportunity for a few snowy days sledging, but for others who were without water, the situation was dire. At the same time, the Arctic recorded the highest temperatures on record. What led to these extremes in weather? We are joined by geography teacher Miss Gregan to tell us more. Temperatures in the UK and the Arctic.
So, the UK, being an island, is affected by lots of different air masses. This particular one was thought to be a phenomenon called the wacky weather, okay, and that stands for warm Arctic, cold continent. And what happens because of climate change, global warming, the Arctic is heating up, the ice is melting, so it's warmer, and that warm air has actually pushed down the cold air from Siberia. Okay, so we've got a cold air mass coming down. We've also got a wet air mass coming up across the Atlantic. The two clashed, and so you've got wet air hitting cold air, you get snow. And because of climate change, the Arctic is warmer.
Were you affected from this temperature change?
I had to stay at home for 2.5 days. Couldn't get into college because all the roads were blocked from my house.
What are the dangers of this?
The dangers of this, I was okay because my fridge was well stocked, but for old people, vulnerable people that don't have access to enough water, also it affects animal habitats because everything's frozen. So there's lots of danger, especially people going out driving when they shouldn't be, because obviously the roads can be lethal.
Finally, do you think we will have any more patterns like this?
Absolutely. With climate change, global warming going on, okay, it's thought that they will become increasingly in frequency, but also how extreme they are. So more of this to come.
Thank you.
There's been some great news for local skaters. BMX and scooter riders with the plans for a new state-of-the-art skate park for Newquay. Here's the full story with Zach.
Newquay has just announced that there will be a new skate park built. The old skate park, Wooden Waves, is being remade into concrete. The wood is old, broken and in a state. It will cost £650,000 and there will be benches for all the people to sit and watch their children or have some lunch on a sunny day. And for the more professionals, there will be everything from quarter pipes to bowls. We spoke to Ollie Monk, Ian Jenkins and Jake Spyram, Newquay skater, to get the lowdown in a very wet Newquay.
Hi guys, and I'm in very wet Newquay, and I am with
Councillor Ollie Monk, Ian from Maverick, local skateboarder Jake Spyram. The idea for a new skate park has been in the pipeline for about 10 years now. It was a local community that had one before that, but there was more and more to replace it. So an idea and a concept to build a new park about 10 years ago, so the whole community really. It will cost around £500,000 for the initial phase one, and then we intend to add some lights and CCTV and some sort of a concession at a later date. It will comprise of everything that you can see here today, plus a load more that we haven't quite got around to building yet, but that's ongoing.
you had a lot of public interest. Where was it?
I think because skateboarding's in the Olympics now, and it's become a mainstream sort of activity rather than just sort of a marginalised activity. Lots and lots of people have become interested in it, and it's not just skateboarding, everything. We'll all want to use this facility. I think most people, I don't know anyone who doesn't really want the skate park. There was a difference of opinion about what designs we were going to have and what we did have, and it all came down to what available funds we have at the end of the day. But I think once most people come down and see the actual building here, most people are won round by the actual design that we've ended up building. In many ways, really, gives a fantastic world-class asset for the youth, and not just the youth, the old people in Newquay, but also tourism as well. People will come from far and wide to ski.
When do you think this skate park will be finished?
I'll pass you over to Ian in a second. Officially, the council have said it's going to be the 1st of October, but obviously it'll depend on weather. Ian?
Summer is about as precise as I'm willing to be.
What are you looking forward to this park?
Literally everything. I couldn't tell you. There's so much stuff here. It's going to be crazy. World class skate park in Newquay. So yeah, just sorted.
What do you think the best thing will be here?
Best thing? Probably this main bowl that you can see behind us is on a really big scale. And that's probably the main thing that is going to make this a competition venue as well. It's going to be really exciting to see, how the best riders and pros that are going to visit tours and competitions. It's going to be amazing to see what goes on in this big bowl. That's kind of what excites me the most.
Thank you for talking to us today.
That's great. Thanks very much.
There's no age limit for the skate park, therefore there will be something for everyone to enjoy. I can't wait to go and use it.
Imagine booking into a hotel and ending up in a prison in the 1700s. Well, that may just be possible when Bodmin Jail gets a major new look. Sean and Ellie have more details.
Bodmin Jail first opened in 1779 and closed in 1972. Throughout the years, they have reopened the jail as an attraction to the public with a restaurant and a walkthrough of the jail, where you can see wax models recreating the past. The jail also includes paranormal nights and they have their own medium. However, this year the jail is getting a major investment, with plans to turn it into an attraction-based hotel with 63 rooms. A spokesperson said the jail currently operates as an attraction and venue, but many of the buildings are in a bad state, limiting its potential. This means they will have to pay more money to fix the buildings first before they build the hotel. However, plans involve state-of-the-art audio visuals, interactive areas and tours. I went to the jail to speak to Chris Wilkes, the commercial manager, to find out more. I'm here with Chris at Bodmin Jail talking about the new hotel plans. So, what gave you the idea of turning the jail into a hotel?
Well, as you can imagine, building of this size takes an awful lot of running and an awful lot of money to keep it going. So we needed to think of something to do here that was actually going to provide a good income. Now, jails, listed jails, are quite difficult to develop in so much as you can't knock them down and you can't really do too much to the actual structure. So we looked at other jails, specifically Oxford, and how they've redeveloped Oxford Jail into a really nice hotel, but used that pretty much as the theme for what we would do here. And what we intend to do is retell a lot of the stories that are here now, either exactly the same or in a slightly more modern context. You can hear the racket coming from next door. That's us actually experimenting with holograms and 3D motion rather than static dummies.
One of the real benefits of having such a capable firm of attraction designers involved is that we've been able to look at what you call a totally immersive experience. Once you come into it, you are totally surrounded and you are part of it. The floor above here in the new attraction will be the entrance, and you will be able to walk into something akin to a Georgian stately home inside, emblematic of the first builder of this jail, Sir John Hall. Any good stately home has a library in it. Any brilliant library has bookcases. One of those is a secret bookcase that opens. So you will be going through the open door of a bookcase into a space that actually turns out to be the inside of a lift cage in a mine shaft that will then take you down 2 stories into the mines of Cornwall. Thinking of the industry, copper, fish and tin. Lots of naughty miners were locked up here in the past. So we have a huge amount of information, wealth of stories that we will be able to put into this area. Once you've finished in that, you then walk out and all of a sudden you're on Bodmin Moor. That's a very tall space, 2.5 stories in height. So you are lost in the moors, the wind, the rain, the sounds, the stories. the beast of Bodmin and everything that goes with that. Against the end wall here, we will be able, with some very clever equipment, to project a seascape, storms. Think of the coast, think of how many ships were wrecked off the coast of this county. And the stories of the sailors and those that went down to wreck the ships, illegal activity and what happened to them. At some point, actually, that whole end wall opens up and a 2.5-storey high ship will come barrelling out into the middle of the audience. So, fairly striking. Once you've seen that, you will be able to walk around and come into Bodmin, the Victorian, the Georgian streets, looking in the houses, looking in the shops. You will actually have all the scenes of a lot of the crimes that were committed. You'll walk into the town square, against which here is another huge projection. Once that's finished, the wall opens up and you walk into the Assizes Court. There's over £250,000 worth of audio-visual and clever tricks going in there, where we will be able to project a tremendous amount of the court scenes. There is only one outcome, sadly, everybody will be found guilty. The court usher will then take you through the dock in an underground tunnel. It's going to tell you the history, not only of this place, but of Cornwall.
This worry about transforming the jail.
Getting it right. If you think about it, on one level, this is a hugely historic property.
Yeah.
We have to redevelop it, it's listed, so we have to get that right. We have to be able to retell history correctly. We've got to be able to tell the stories of all the people that were here correctly. We have to ensure that our guests, our day visitors and those that come to stay here, enjoy and engage with what we're doing. So there's a huge pressure to get it right. We think we have got the right mix and the right levels, but it's like anything. If you're not worried, actually that's a problem.
How will this change or how will it fit for the public and businesses?
The business model that we have here now, we employ around 40 people, we see about 65,000 visitors a year, and I'm lucky enough to talk to about 3,000 school kids of your age, older and younger university people about the magical site that we've got. With what we're doing, by the time we finish, we will take the visitor numbers from 65 to about 180,000 a year. And we will take our employed staff levels from where they are now to around 80. During the construction period, we're actually going to be employing over 100 labourers and skilled stonemasons, roofers, those that fit rooms out. So there's a tremendous economic benefit. And not only that, but as one of the premier attractions in the town and for Cornwall, we are working with the other tourist attractions in Bodmin to ensure that people who come and visit here go up to the railway, go to the Light Infantry Museum, go to the Town Museum, can actually spend money in Bodmin. That will have a great economic benefit and lift the town as a whole.
This new hotel be open to the public?
Right. We are aiming to have it open in the middle of next year. So we've got the planning permission, we've got the contractors on site, and there is a slight time constraint because we've actually got a hotel operator ready to come in and run it. So it would be nice to think that we'll get it open for the 2019 season.
Okay, that's all. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure, nice to meet you. Okay.
Development will hopefully bring more tourism to Bodmin and the surrounding areas. The residents, however, may dislike the fact that the hotel's car park is being built over the park where the local children play. This £30 million development, which was submitted to Cornwall Council in January this year, is an exciting new venture for all involved. We look forward to seeing the results.